Okay, so everyone wants to retire rich. So here are some things that I learned in my lifetime. Some math, some stuff that they don't teach pre-calc kids because, unit circle is way more important, right? So anyways, I condensed it down. I've done this every year for quite a while now. It's kind of a nice little way to sort of either find a Friday or some day like today when we're really not going to start another unit. Okay, so Dawson, I know, works at Tim Hortons because he told me he was going there yesterday. Dare I ask, Dawson, what do you make at Tim Hortons? Minimum wage. So what is minimum wage these days? $11.25. Okay. Okay, so that's 11, well, whatever, right? 11.25. So now if you take a standard work week, which is 40 hours, if you take 11.25 times a 40-hour week, that's $450 per week. And if you multiply that over, we'll even be grand gracious and multiply that. We're going to say you're going to work all 52 weeks of the year. How much do you think that is?
Not much.
Well, it's all relative, Riley. $23,400. Now, of course, that is your gross pay. You guys know the difference between gross pay and net pay?
Yeah.
That's like gross pay is how much you make, and then there's all those lovely deductions. I got my paycheck today, and it has a whole bunch of deductions on it, right? So that's the problem that everyone has. Okay, so of your $23,000, you might have a take-home pay. Now, you're not going to pay a ton of tax on that, but you're still going to have other deductions like CPP and EI. You probably got those off your thing there, your paycheck, right? So you would be lucky. Let's round that. We'll say you might make $20,000 as put in your pocket, go home, spend it on salary or whatever you want.
Exactly.
Pay your bills, your hydro, your phone, your whatever, right? How can I put this? Is it easy to support a family, as they say, a single parent on $20,000?
No.
Probably not. Not easily anyways, right? Okay. So, here's my next question. What kind of salary can you expect in your first and maybe adult job? Maybe I shouldn't have said that. That's maybe not such a great term, maybe now. Let's say career job. Maybe you're a mechanic. Maybe you are an accountant. Maybe you are a teacher. I don't know.
18.
Okay? What kind of salary? Maybe you're a brand new engineer right out of university. What kind of money do you think you can make as a brand new engineer right out of university? Any ideas? I'll tell you this. When I started teaching back in 1991, I think my first year salary was like $30,000, $32,000. Okay, so if you're a brand new engineer these days, you're probably looking at about, we'll say, maybe $70,000-ish. Something in that ballpark, right? Maybe you're a lawyer, it might be 60, it might be 50, I don't know. Barry, you will listen here? Regardless, it's going to be more. If you've got a degree or a diploma, certificate from some post-secondary, as many of you will get, you're going to be making more than $23,000 minimum wage a year. Okay, now here's the thing. Think back to me with hair. It's 1990. I'm working at a daycare with little munchkins. I'm actually qualified, tell you. I had my level 3. I'm qualified to run a daycare, to be an administrator. Which is why things go so smooth as they do in here. Little joke. Yes, that's true. Back then, they gave anyone that had an education degree, they gave you a level 3. They don't do it anymore. Anyways, so I was working daycare. I was making minimum wage, but I wasn't working like every week. I might have been making in college, even my summer job, I might have been making maybe $8,000 a year.
Okay.
Then I moved to Dauphin, sunny metropolis of Dauphin, and I suddenly started making $32,000 a year, which is a whole lot more.
Doing what?
Teaching right here at the DR. My first and ever teaching job. Okay? So I went from making not so much money to, relatively speaking, a whole lot of money. Now, if I was only making $32,000 right now, that's probably not enough to support my family. Okay, but back then I was single. I had to spend more money on shampoo, but other than that, that was about my only other expense. Okay, so the 10% rule, and I learned this real quick because I went from having basically hardly any money to having, let's go to Mr. Graham's room next door, to having a lot.
10%.
Now, did my lifestyle suddenly become lavish and fantastic?
Yes.
Well, no, I mean, it was pretty nice. I was living in those, those apartment blocks right across from Mackenzie? There's like little flat ones there. You know those? That's where I lived. A little room about maybe a tenth of this size. So I was making a fair bit of money. So I learned, hey, I could start saving this money. Okay? And that's where the 10% rule comes in. Because I wasn't yet used to having all the money. Now let's say you go out now and you become a vet. I think, right? That's what you think about. So Ty goes out, she becomes a vet, she starts making $8,000 a year, and after about 4 or 5 years she starts thinking, you know what, I should really start saving money. And so she tries to save the 10%. What's 10% of 80,000?
10,000.
10%, 8,000. 8,000. All of a sudden, Tony's got to cut out $8,000 out of her lavish lifestyle. Is that going to be easy to do?
No.
No, because she's going to have to cut this out, she's going to cut that out, it's going to have to it's going to be terrible, right? But if she had started saving that 10% before she got used to that lavish lifestyle, how easy would that have been?
Would have been easier.
Real easy. Super crazy, mega easy. Because you're already living on like ramen noodles in the student life, right? Basically, right? You're living on that. And then you go to here, and it's like, whoa, great big jump in lifestyle, this is awesome, right? But if she hadn't, she would have gone like way over here. But now, to get that 10% saving, you got to cut back. And which is easier? Going from there to here, or going from there to here, and then back?
The first one.
The first one. So if you can start your savings plan, the very first career job that you get, you'll never get used to that extra lifestyle, and you'll retire rich. Here's how. Okay? How long before you can have $1 million? How much per month do you need to invest? Now I pre-opened all of these. Okay, so let's go with an 80,000. So let's say Grandma gives you $5,000 upon your university graduation. Grandma's paid attention to me. Grandma's giving you $5,000. And let's say every month, if she's going to save $8,000, what's 8,000 divided by 12?
A number.
Yes, I know that.
I'm sure it's not a word.
$666.
Oh, that sounds like an evil amount. Let's go with 675. Just let's go 675 per month at 3%. Now, Talia, when you are done vet school, approximately how old do you need to be?
25.
Okay, 25. And what age do people generally retire at?
65.
65, which means you'll have 40 years of saving this money, right? So we're going to compound that interest monthly. Do you guys know what compound interest means?
No.
Oh, what are they teaching you in pre-calculus? Well, that's right, the unit circle. Compound interest is when you get you guys know what interest is?
Yes.
Okay, so you get your interest on your amount, and then that's added on to the principal, and then so the interest is calculated on top of that interest, so it continues to grow. Okay, now how long did you say, Tyler? 40 years?
Yeah.
What do you think? $5,000 initially from Grandma, plus $675 per month, compounded monthly for 40 years. How much do you think? Wild guess. This is at 3%.
The 3%
Yeah, but it's
No. She's saving that. She's spending all the rest of her money. She's going on trips and buying,
So you're saving $675?
Yeah, well, Grandma gave you $5,000, and then this person,
Every
imaginary
month you're
person,
paying $675.
paying $675 into some investment that pays 3%. $600,000.
600,000. Holy!
Aren't you glad you stayed, Kaya?
Yeah.
$641,000.
Oh my God.
And all you had to do was start saving right away. Now, $675 a month is a fair bit. Should we just scale that back a bit?
Yeah.
Okay, let's scale that back a little bit.
I'd say like 200.
200.
No.
Like 500.
500? Okay.
5, yeah.
Let's go 500. Now, do you think, is there some way you can get greater than 3%?
You're sponsored.
And the answer to that is yes, there is. You can probably get more than 3%. Well, let's see what this does. Let's do that. Let's make one change first,
Yeah.
right?
500.
Okay, so we've still almost 500,000,
Yeah.
right? What if I change that percent to 5%?
But how does that work?
I'm going to get to that, don't worry.
Okay.
Trust me.
Oh.
You should try to get 5%.
Tell us how.
Look at the look on Sierra. Her eyes are just like.
Tell us how.
See, I'm pretty sure it was this year.
People are stupid, Danielle.
How you get 8%?
Oh my gosh.
How you get?
The percent matters, doesnn't it?
How much percentage did you
I put 8.
Oh, wow.
So the percent of your interest really matters.
Oh.
How do you do that?
Okay. Now that I have your attention,
Oh yeah.
where do you invest this, Mr. Bennet? You say.
Stocks.
Where do you invest this, Mr. Bennet?
You give it to me and I'll take care of it.
Bitcoins. Let's play this.
No. Okay, before I go any further, I need to state this for a fact. I need to state it for the record. Are you recording this, Bennett? I am not a financial advisor. I am not licensed to give you financial advice, but I can certainly tell you the math.
And personal experience.
Yes, you do. Well,
Because then
yeah.
somebody could go behind.
I'm not selling you anything. I'm just giving you advice. Okay, I'm not a financial advisor. Correct. Okay. Have you ever heard the term or the phrase an RRSP?
Yeah.
No? You used to see it on TV a lot. You guys don't watch a lot of TV other than Netflix, and they don't show commercials of it. Right? Anyways, they used to show it in February because that was RRSP season. RRSP stands for Registered Retirement Savings Plan. You guys know what a pension is?
Yeah.
What's a pension, Johnny?
It's about like your retirement fund or something.
It's your retirement fund, right? So like I'm lucky. The teachers of Manitoba have what's called they call it TRAF, TRAF, Teachers Retirement Allowance Fund. So every month I pay a certain amount of money into this fund, and then when I retire in a few years, I'm going to get my pension, right? I'm going to get income that I've been saving since the 90s.
Can you decide how much you want to put into that?
They decide there's a minimum, and then you can actually contribute more.
Yeah.
Now, you don't have to because everyone is allowed in Canada to have an RRSP up to a certain maximum. It's these days something like $15,000. So self-employed people, if you own your own business or, if you don't work for, I'm part of a group, I'm part of the teachers union, but if you're like working for, say you work down at Money Aids, as an example. Okay, you would have up to $15,000 of RSP room. I can't do that because most of my $15,000 goes automatically to my teacher fund, so I can only contribute less. So an RSP is your own personal pension fund. So I put money into a special fund that will come back to me when I retire. Okay. Now the deal is this: the government doesn't tax you on money that you put into your RSP. Okay? So, for example, if you can start when you're 18, which reminds me, I have to have a discussion with Tanner. Hello. Sure. Right here. Okay, and obviously, now you started your savings at what age? 25.
Yeah.
Should we go back and check that out? What if you started at age 18 instead of 40 years?
Then I would have.
You would have another 7, right? 47. And let's go back. Let's dial that down a bit. Okay.
Go back to 3%? Oh, no.
Yeah.
Go back to what?
You get the
I would leave that-
5% again?
3%?
Did he explain how to get the 5%?
That's still.
Now that you're not going to get that every year, right? But anyways, yeah, it makes a difference. Okay, so where was I? Oh yeah. So the government, when You guys, anyone ever filed income tax yet?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so what does that mean, Zach?
Well,
When you file income tax, what does that mean? Do you know?
you like have to say like how much you've made.
You declare to the government how much money you've made, and then they figure out how much you owe in income tax, right? Now, if, let's say, and I'll just use rough figures, just for interest's sake, let's say you make $5,000 as a student, and you put away $1,000 in RRSP. So now, instead of saying to the government, well, I earned $5,000, calculate my tax on that, you say, I only earned $4,000, calculate my tax on that, and it's going to be less, right? So the $1,000 that you put in your pocket and then put into an RRSP, there's no tax. Okay? So like, it's better. It's more money. Why does the government want to do that? Exactly. They want citizens that are self-reliant. They don't want people on CPP. You know what CPP is? Canada Pension Plan. So every senior, when you hit 65, every Canadian citizen automatically qualifies for CPP. There's some rules and regulations you'll forget about all by the time you get there. You'll forget about me by the time you get there, so it doesn't matter. But regardless, it's not a whole lot. It's just like bare minimum. Okay? But they want a citizenship that is wealthy, right? So they encourage people to put money into their RSP for their retirement. Because the deal is this, when it comes back to you in your retirement, because you don't need as much money, because your kids have already gone to school and your house is paid off and, you got all the clothes you need, and all you really need is, a couple pairs of pants and, vacation money, right? You don't need as much income. So if you're making less in retirement, you don't pay as much income tax. So it's a good tax planning plan. You pay less tax to put money into an RSP, okay? That's the really short version of it. I could spend an entire hour on talking about RSPs, but I won't. But the point is, RSPs are good. Okay? Okay. There's other things called GICs. Anyone ever heard of that? That is a guaranteed investment certificate, which means you go to the bank and you put in your $5,000, right? And they guarantee that 3%. Now, you're not going to get a guaranteed 3%. You might get a guaranteed 1%. Okay? Times are tough in the investment world. Now, when I was in university, I went back to, you guys know where Love and Pearson is downtown. I worked for the equivalent in Neepawa where I grew up. It's called Gill and Small Agencies. And my job my very first year was they literally had a binder of investments, people's names and their investments, and my job was to type them all in the computer. That's what I did the whole summer. And there was investments, this was about 1988, there was investments in there from the early 80s, from like 1981, 1982, people that were earning 18%. Yes, that's kind of what I said. Now, having said that, mortgage rates were about 22% back then. I'll talk to you about mortgages in a bit. If interest rates go up, get saving, if you can. Okay? So a GIC is like, you can buy GIC RSP. RSP simply means you're just designating that investment as pension money. So you can put anything into an RSP. You can put a GIC, you can put a stock, you can put a house, you can put just about anything you want inside an RSP. All you're saying is, Mr. Trudeau, that's my pension money, don't tax it. He says, okay. That's how it is. Kind of.
That's in the RSP.
Yes, you can put, all of these can be designated as an RSP.
Oh.
You guys know what savings account are. You probably have one down at the CIBC, right? By the way, I'm affiliated with no bank. I do bank at a certain bank. It doesn't matter which one it is. This works for all banks. I'm not promoting one bank over another. I have to be careful. You probably all have savings accounts, right? How much are you earning on it? The answer is... You ever hear what a stock is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to know more?
Yeah. One thing I didn't think about.
We'll talk about that. I'll talk about mutual funds as well. All of those can become RSPs. So I did the RSP thing already. Here's some I'm getting choked up. Here's some GIC rates. Now this just happens to be from the Royal Bank. Okay? So you can get, if you have between $500 and $99,000, you can earn up to 2% if you put it in for an entire 10 years.
2%.
2%.
10 years.
40 years to retire, Kyle. But 2% is not much, is it?
No.
No. Okay? You see, these are the GIC rates. Now, how come What does the bank do with your $10,000 to put in? What do they do with that money? Like Brett goes in, he gets $10,000, he invests it in a GIC. What does the bank do with it? Just kind of put it in a little box and leave it there? No, they loan it out to guys like me to buy houses and cars and stuff. Except they pay Brett 1.8%, but they're charging me 6 and 8%. Who's making the money here? Again, Brett's making a little bit, but the bank's making more. Remember, banks are businesses, and they're in the business of making money. Don't forget that. Banks are in business of making money. Okay? They will help you, but that's what they're in. Okay, now, what if... those are GICs. What if you've got a savings account? Well, if you're in a regular high-interest e-savings, sounds great. You're going to earn all of 0.75%. Are you going to get rich with savings accounts?
No.
No chance in that.
It's like, I don't want to take all your money out and just keep it yourself.
Oh, okay. So what Danielle is proposing is we put all our money under our mattress, right?
Yeah.
What's the problem with that?
House catches on fire.
Yes, there's one problem. Number two is a nasty word. It's called inflation.
What's that?
Inflation is when prices go up. Right? Have you noticed maybe like the price of food at the cafeteria, has it gone up in your 4 years here?
Yeah.
That's inflation. So now your $10,000, you put that under your pillow for 10 years, your $10,000 in 10 years might still be $10,000, but it won't buy as much. You've actually lost money. You actually have to earn enough to go past inflation, right? Inflation runs at about 1-2% a year.
So it's better to earn 40.
You've got to earn something if you've got a substantial amount of money. Okay, so you're not going to get rich on savings plans. So how the heck do we do it? Okay, let's talk about stocks. What's a stock?
You section of
A share of a company. Now, what kind of companies, Danielle, can you buy stocks in? Do you know? Microsoft, that's a good one. That's a good example. There are companies that you can't buy stock in anymore. They're what's called a private company. So one person owns the whole company. But things like Canadian Tire, many people own shares in Canadian Tire. It's what's called a public company. Now, if you click there, you're going to find out here's what Canadian Tire's stock price is at. So it's at $164 a share. That means nothing. It means that you can buy one share of Canadian Tire. Oh, just went down. Just went down 12 cents. That's cool. I didn't know you could do that. That's cool. I didn't know you could do that. Now, this is what Canadian Tire has done. Oh, that's just in the day. Look at the stock price just today. In the last 5 days? In the last month? Oh, hey.
Oh, but it's going up. Oh.
3 months? It started around 150.
Started at the bottom.
Hey, I should be buying it. Oh, but hey, look at this. It was up to almost 170 at one point, and then it went down.
Okay, but what is that money? Like, is that like?
But can you take out? Is it you buy?
You can sell the share. You can sell the share. So what that means is when Canadian Tire has a profit, let's say for easy talking, let's say that there's 1,000 shares of Canadian Tire. There's way more than that. Let's say there's 1,000 shares of Canadian Tire, and Brett has one share. So when they have their profits and they dole them out, Brett gets 1/1,000 of that profit because he's a 1/1,000 share owner. Okay? Now,
And how much would a share cost?
$164 in this case.
That's pretty
So then
Now,
you
so that means that he can sell his share for $164. If Brett had bought his share at 69, 64, 67, if he bought his share at $70 and sold it at 140, well, he would double his money, wouldn't he? The trick is this: you never know
Yeah.
when it's going to go up or when it's going to go down.
Or that
You
it's
can look
going
backwards.
to,
It's like gambling.
So Canadian Tire, over the last of its lifetime, since way back when, like if I had bought a share of Canadian Tire back in 1995 at $12
You've been making
and
money.
held it on now and sold it back to Brett at $164, bingo.
Bingo.
And that's one share when people have like 10 shares.
Or thousands. Thousands.
Some people does like heavily.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what if you invest poorly? Like BlackBerry. Ever hear of BlackBerry? Okay. Well, do you actually remember when they were big?
Yeah.
That was my first phone was a BlackBerry.
Wow.
My
Yeah?
dad lost his granddaughter.
Here's what BlackBerry. Oh, this is looking pretty good. 1 month. Not bad.
That doesn't even look good.
3 months.
Canadian Tire was better.
1 year.
That does look good.
5 years. Well, it's kind of flat.
That was the peak, yeah.
Back here, about 2008. Now, actually, this is the one that I remember. This was right before the year 2000. Right in here, this is that they call the .com era. That's when everybody and his dog had some kind of thing on the internet, because the internet was usually the next big thing. It was. And then it just went crash, and everyone lost power money. I know a guy in town, a banker, he works in a bank, and he bought shares in BlackBerry because it was so high. And of course, as it's going down, you're thinking, okay, well, it's going to go back up, right? And he kept buying and buying and buying, and it went down, and it went down below like $1.
So what happens when it goes down?
It just means that your piece of paper that says how much you own is worth less, right? So if you go to sell it, you're gonna lose money. You got to hang on till it goes up, but it might never go up.
It's never gonna go up.
Okay.
So are you losing money on going down or just lose money?
Well, you only lose money on paper. You only lose it if you go and sell, right? But it can continue, as you can
You
see.
just won't get much profit.
You can continue. It can continue to go down, right? So it's a bit of a risk. Can you look at what? Apples.
Ooh.
Or McDonald's.
What happened if like BlackBerry decided to like
Didn't some guy sell like a bunch of apples for like $30 a minute?
Now, had I bought Apple back in the 80s when I was at Gill and Small, $1.
$1.18, holy.
What were you thinking?
No.
Is this how Dragon's Den works or whatever it is, or no?
Sort of, yeah. Well, when they talk about a stake in a company, that's what they're saying. They're buying stock in that private company.
It just went up.
So they get a part. Just went up.
That's why I want the business to do well, because that's gonna.
Ooh, tight lock.
Okay. Now the problem is this: is that like if I bought Apple, and Johnny bought BlackBerry, right? So wouldn't you like to sort of have a little bit more spread it around a little bit? Like if you bought just one stock, how do you know that yours is going to do well? And the answer is you don't. Okay? You don't. Stocks can be dangerous. Okay? So here's another idea. It's called a mutual fund. A mutual fund is like this. Johnny gives me $100. Brett gives me $100. Meg gives me $100. Sarah gives me $100. And I take that, and don't worry, I'm not going to take your $100. I take that $400 and I invest it. And I put some of it in Apple, and I put some of it in Canadian Tire, I put some of it in BlackBerry, and I put some of it in I don't know what else. Right? And some of those go up, some of them go down. But you hope that because my full-time job is watching these and making investments, says Johnny's out there curling and playing the drums, he doesn't care about stocks. He says, Bennet, you look after my stocks for me, I'll pay you a little bit, a share. I'll give you like 5% of my earnings. And I say, okay. He pays me 5%, Brett pays me 5%, Megan pays me 5%, Sarah pays me 5%, and I look after their money for them. Right? And I invest a little bit in this stock, and a little bit in that stock, and a little bit in that stock, and that, my friends, is called a mutual fund. Okay? It's a collection of stocks. Okay? And if everyone in the room chipped in, well, then we could buy a lot more stocks, right? You could spread out that risk. Right? And if everybody in Manitoba bought some, well, then we could spread it even more, right? Now, you'd have to share the profits, but you're also sharing the risk, right? Now, are there good and bad mutual funds?
Yeah.
Of course there are. Here's the top 20, the last 10 years. Okay, so I look at these here. The CIBC Asia Pacific Index Class A. I don't know what that means. In the last 3 years, 2.3%. In the last 5 years, minus 3%. Ooh. But in the last 10 years, 3.53%. That's not bad. Okay?
10.9.
Whoa, what about this one? In the last 10 years, 13%. That's way better than the 8 we had before. Like, remember when we did 8%?
Yeah.
9%, 9, 6, 5, 10, 11. You know what? 17. I got to get into that one.
Search up stuff.
Back when I first started doing investment stuff, the standard go-to percent was they assumed, financial advisors assumed you could earn 10% a year. I know. That's a lot. Okay. 10% is insane. You can't do that anymore. It doesn't. But if we put 10%, $5,500 a month, 47 years. What do you want to guess?
Like,
No,
That'd be nice.
10% is a little high.
The best part about that though is that like 6 million of it was for nothing.
Yep. You're the first one to realize that. If you go 8%, you get, right?
really, you only read, yeah.
Exactly. It's 3 million of that is interest. It only costs you how much?
100,000.
No. That's how much you're worth. Whatever the difference is there.
Yeah, 300.
Oh yeah, 300, right. Well, no, the difference. 318 minus 33. 300,
What's
yeah,
31?
$30,000. Cost you $30,000. There's the graph. Look at that. That's your interest. Most of your income is interest. Okay. So there are good and bad mutual funds. Is it a good idea to put a little bit of money in this mutual fund, a little bit of money from that mutual fund, a little bit of money from that? Like if you all gave me the $100 and I managed your money, but Johnny was like, you know what, I don't trust that Bennet guy. I'm going to give Mr. Smigalski some too and see how he does. Right? And I'm going to give 4 or 5 different companies some of my money. I'm going to spread it around because maybe this guy's not quite as good. Okay? You can kind of do your own sharing. Okay? Okay. Now, the best piece of information I can give you, the number one tip that I can give you is the 10%. Always save 10% and start early, get that too. Here's the number 3 thing. Dollar cost averaging. It is magic. Okay? Watch. Always invest the same amount each month, whether the price is high or low. It doesn't matter what the stock market does. If Trump decides he's going to blow up the world, you keep investing. Because he's likely going to screw it up and the world will be fine in a week. Did I say that?
We said that on our.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we're gonna
Keep investing. When the stock market crashes, hang on, close your eyes, trust, because, let me show you something here. I didn't show this. Let's go TSX. The TSX, which I haven't talked about, the TSX is the stock market in Canada. What's that? Yeah. The Dow Jones, yeah.
Those stocks are like a lot.
The TSX is all of the stocks in Canada. It's kind of a measure of how the stocks are doing in Canada, right? So let's go here, historical prices. How do I do this here? I want graph. I want graph.
Give me the math.
TSX history chart. There we go. Okay, so here is the stock market in what? That's not right.
That's still high.
That only goes back to the year 2000. That's the max. Oh, here we go. This is what I want here.
That's all the stuff.
Still high.
Okay, here's the TSX. Here's the Canadian stock market from 1960 to 2012. Overall, when you go over a long period of time, the stock market goes up. You got to stay in. You can buy and sell a little bit, but you've got to stay in.
Well then,
Because it always goes up over a long enough period of time. That's the key. You might lose your shirt in a week or in a year. You might lose $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. But over many years, if you spread your risk around, right? It's a little stressful. I know Danielle's already getting stressed out about it. She doesn't even have any money in there.
so when do you sell them?
You're worried about something that you're not even involved with.
Who do you sell to?
Where do you sell?
Some other
Where do
guy.
you sell, Mr.
You sell to some other guy.
But when?
Where?
Sell high, buy low, if you can. Cash out. Cash out when it's high, if you can. Let me show you dollar cost averaging. Let's say in January, because next month you decide, you know what, that's pretty smart. I'm going to go and I'm going to start that. I'm going to start $100 a month. Okay, let's say that the price in mutual fund talk, they say price per unit. So let's say that the price per unit or share of this mutual fund is $10. You have $100 to spend. How many units did you buy? $10 each. You just bought 10 units, right? You have 10 units in Bennett's mutual fund. Okay, and then stock market crashes. I don't know what happens. Trump does something. The stock market doesn't like uncertainty. When weird things happen, when wars happen, the stock market tends to go up. But initially, like when 9/11 happened, they had to close the stock market because people just panicked. They sell, and the stock market crashes. So they close it for everyone's protection. Anyways, the stock market's good up. So let's say the next month the share price is now $5, but then the next month after that it's $7.50. Did we make money those 3 months, or did we lose money?
I think you made money because you bought more units.
Yeah, because February you bought 20.
You think so?
Yeah, after February.
But the price after is like it's gone down. It went from 10 down to 7.50. Or you think it's kind of flat?
Yeah, you made money.
You think you made money?
Yeah.
Well, let's just work this out because it's pretty easy math. If they're $5 a share, how many did you buy here, Brett? 20. How many at 7.50? Do you know? 13.3. I happen to know because I've done this lots. What are my total units after the first month? 10, which is a total value of 100, right? Because I got 10. Each one costs 10. I got 100. Now, when I bought 20 the next month, what's my total units? And they're worth $5. 30 times 5? 150. I just spent $200, and I've only got 150. I've only got the heck?
You gained 50.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't. I spent 200 and I lost 50.
What?
Well, because I've only got 30 shares. They're worth, like my 10 shares that I bought before are now only worth $5.
Okay.
But then the next month, now I add 13.3, so that's going to be.
So the lower the total value is.
That's how much you own, right? That's how much your value is worth. Brett, take 43.3 times 750.
Okay.
I have no idea.
Because I can't do that one in my head. Hang on, I think I can.
So like, this will be compared to 300.
Wait.
Dawson's right. We're going to compare this value to $300 because that's how much it's going to cost us, right?
$324.
How the heck did that happen? 324 what?
75.
Bang.
We just made $24.
Wow.
Over
In
300.
3 months.
Now, this is extreme. It's not always going to happen, right? This is an extreme for I'm making a point. Riley was bang on, and Brett too. In this month here, the price went down, and you bought more.
Yeah.
You bought more. It's like buying toilet paper on sale. Everyone needs it. Buy it on sale.
So should I like invest stocks in toilet paper?
Well, everyone needs it, right? He's got a point. Good point. That's good thinking.
Toilet industry.
That's good thinking.
Because
Yeah.
everyone's gonna need one of those.
You certainly. Do you want to invest in things that people continue to reuse?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Like Apple.
No.
It's like what?
Apple.
People keep buying new cell phones. Keep buying new
Oh,
cars.
reuse. Okay.
Reuse, right? You want to invest in things that like people buy and use only once in their whole life.
No. That's what I thought when you said reuse.
Right. Okay, so the idea of a dollar cost averaging is always invest the same amount. Always invest $100 whether the price goes down or not, because if the price goes down, you are buying more. You're buying toilet paper on sale.
Perfect.
Right? If you set it up so you always buy 10 units every month, you're not making any money.
Exactly.
It's gonna. If you're only buying 10 units, you're just going to spend $50. You're never going to make any money. You might as well put your money under the mattress.
Or in
Okay.
the mattress.
Use the same amount per month, and again, spread it around.
No.
Okay. Okay. There's other things. TFSA stands for tax-free savings account. So RSPs have some, there are some bad sides and some disadvantages to them. So the government came out with about 10 years ago, I guess, 10 or 12 years ago, with what they call a tax-free savings account. So the money, you still have to pay tax on the money you put in, but the interest that you earn is tax-free, because in an RSP, the interest that you earn is not tax-free. So I'm getting a little bit complicated, but that's another place that you can save your money. Now, many of you, I'm hoping, have an RESP in your name. Do you know what those are? Registered Education Savings Plan. What that means is a parent or grandparent or aunt or uncle or whoever in your family can put aside money for your education. Okay? So it's kind of like an RRSP, except it's not to fund your retirement, it's to fund someone else's post-secondary schooling. Okay? So maybe mom or dad can put in $100 a month in an RESP. Here's the real nice thing about RESPs. When I put in $100 a month, Mr. Trudeau or Mr. Harper, whoever's in power, the government of the day, puts in another $20.
Whoa.
For every 100.
For every 100, you get free $20. That's a 20% rate of return,
But you have to use it for school.
even before the actual interest. Now, you saw what a 20% return will do, right? So it's a pretty good deal whether you make any money or not. It's a very good deal. The only real requirement is you have to go to school. Okay? So like if Johnny's mom and dad have an RESP, and then he registers for the U of M next year, they can pull out all that money, and then it can go towards Johnny's education.
So what happens if he doesn't?
If he doesn't, then you have to give back the 20% to the government.
But you still get your.
You still get your money back. You still have it, right? But you have to. Now, the 20% that money can go on Johnny's taxes, and he's going to be paying less taxes, so there's a tax benefit to that. And you can spend it on just about anything you want, Johnny. Don't tell Dad otherwise. Okay? Yeah, I'll say no. You can only spend it on this and this, but you can spend it on comic books if you want.
I feel like County did that too.
No, he doesn't know that part. Unless he remembered it from last semester when I did it. Generally, the parent controls the money, and they just sort of dole it out when they need, right? Basically, you send that money, send it to tuition and rent and whatever. Okay, so that's called an RESP. Do yourself a favor when your first child is born, start one. Okay, because you've seen over 18 years, right? Could we go back and figure this out?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back. Let's say you start with 0, right? And you put in $100 for your kid every month, and the interest rate was
20 plus the interest.
all right.
Oh, weird.
Oh my.
But you only got 18 years.
That's where they get you, right?
If you start.
That's still,
good.
that'll pay for a lot
But
of
school's
education.
really expensive. You know
And
that.
that's like one
That'll pay
textbook.
all their education.
Why didn't I start when Tanner was just born? Why did I wait till he was 5?
What the heck?
You wait till you
Stupid.
Dang.
Because now I only had.
So is it possible to do that like before still having
That's quite a bit less.
Like in this, you put $100 in it every month.
Textbook.
You put $100 in it every single month,
Yep.
So what, but you can put more.
That's the $100.
and you can do this with the other thing too, like
Yep.
the savings thing, the
Yep.
investing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I'll try to remember.
That's an RESP. Remember that, right? Okay. So again, these are my rules. Seek advice. I am not a financial planner. Start young and don't stop. Don't you stop. Oh my goodness, I don't have the books here. What's the next one up there?
Always pay yourself first.
Oh, the 10% rule is, oh, here it is. The 10% rule is super important, right? Always, always, always put 10% away. And the last one is learn as much as you can. Because I was at least 25 before I started learning this stuff. Okay? Now, the number one book in my arsenal is this one.
Oh, really?
Twice a year, the Rotary Book Fair. You guys know the Rotary Book Fair? Well, the Rotarians sell a bunch of books. I have a standing order for every wealthy barber that comes in. I say I'll buy them all. I give them a quarter for every one. I hand them out to kids. I don't want each. I think I have 2 more at home. Okay? So, if someone wants that one, I'll bring a couple more and more if you want. Okay, I'm going to make some more. There's also these ones. I buy these ones as well. Okay? Start late, finish rich. That's for like guys like me, if you start late. Automatic millionaire. Okay? Some of this is junk. Don't spend a ton of money on these books because a lot of it is junk. But this one explains it all. It's actually quite easy to read. It's a story about a
Barber.
who knows all this stuff. And every month the guy goes in for a haircut and he teaches them one thing. And it's super easy to read. Guaranteed. Okay? I'll leave those there. If someone wants to grab one at the end of the day, you can. I've got a couple more of these at home. A couple are locked away for you know who. They're their own, and I have my own. And there's also a new one they called the Wealthy Barber Returns. It's not near as good. That one's still better. The guy that wrote this is on Dragon's Den.
Okay.
You know what else was on Dragon's Den?
Okay, so these are the 5 essential money lessons from the Wealthy Barber Returns, the second book. And they are, you have to remove temptation triggers. Okay, in other words, like, think about what you're buying. Do we really need that? That's hard to do. It's nice, especially when you have a fair bit of money. It's easy to just sort of slap the card down, right? Banks are a business, like I said. They're there to make money. Credit cards are evil, even if you don't carry balance. It's good to have good credit, but be careful with credit cards. Okay? I don't know if I have time today to talk about credit cards. Be careful. You can't have everything you want. Save when the saving's good. You can read the books for more. Okay. This is important too. Mortgages and loans. What's the difference? Anyone know?
Mortgages are bigger and loans are just smaller.
Sort of. Mortgages are you putting up what you're buying for collateral. So when you buy a house, you get a mortgage, and what that means is if you stop paying the payments, the bank takes your house, and you're homeless. You don't want that. Okay? So, what does a house cost? Anyone know? Oh, I've already clicked on it. I've pre-clicked on these. What does a house cost in Dauphin?
Where?
You're in Dauphin.
200,000.
Let's just see here.
Mine.
Well, it does. It depends on a lot of things, right? Like here's one here, $479,000 on Dorothy Street. Is it?
Yeah, my dad's
Okay.
car is like around 300,000, I think.
Okay. Let's go sort by.
See what the highest cost is.
It's the one next to yours. It's the light, isn't it? It has to be.
Well, but it's got to be for sale,
Oh, just kidding.
right? It's got to be for
By
sale.
Rogers.
Let's buy Rogers.
Let's just find sort of like an average sort of.
Oh, I should have got that.
Buy a bush. Buy a bottle of land. Go to the
Okay, here's one here. Oh, that's pretty low. Wow.
Yikes, that is. Why is it 29? It was 29 grand.
Man, look at
Oh, I
that.
can buy that right now.
I live in there. That's all I need.
whip some. Let's go.
I'm looking for like,
But they're all
and I don't want to. I'm always scared about this part that someone's house is going to show up on here. So I'm not trying to offend anyone.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I don't want someone's house to show up on here and then someone says, "Oh, look at that dump," and then it turns out it's someone's house. Right? Like I'd hate for that to happen. That's never happened, but
Oh, there's Ryan, the water.
okay. Well, there's a trailer for 54. Like usually, I'm trying to find one that I'm kind of. Well, I'm trying to find one in about the right range. Like, there we go. Here, let's go with this one.
90,000.
Okay, this is in St. Rose. There, so probably not anyone's here. St. Rose, it's $90,000. Now, in Dauphin, that house would probably be worth 130 or 140. Okay, just because Dauphin's a different market. In Winnipeg, that house, $200,000.
Yeah.
In Vancouver, $5 million. Okay, maybe not that much, but 1.5.
In New York.
1.5.
New York.
Anyways, so let's say average house, kind of in Dauphin, starter home, okay, kind of basic kind of thing. Let's say, can we go with 100,000?
Yeah.
Kind of nice round figure? Okay. So if you're purchasing a home for $100,000, and now what's a down payment?
You should pay right there.
How much you gonna pay right away? So most places want you to put down at least 10%. If you're a very first time homeowner, you can get away with 5%. So let's put down $5,000. Okay, now the interest rate, they're suggesting 3.5%. We'll leave the closing costs and everything. Now what about mortgage term? What does that mean?
How long are you going to pay?
How long are you going to pay for it? Okay, so how much do you think? So if you've got a $100,000 home and it's $5,000 down payment, and so your loan payment, you owe $95,000, right? So your payment per month is $400. Did I do that right? Let me just double check that. So your payment per month is $475 a month. Well, that's not bad.
No, really.
400. Oh, Ty spotted it. Ty spotted it. What did you see?
Look at how much interest you're paying.
Yep. Can you see that? So your $100,000 home actually
Cost you 100.
$147,000. That's just a $100,000 home.
That's ridiculous.
So it's better to just pay for it all as soon as you can.
No one has $100,000 in their pocket.
Okay, what if you
Sorry,
invest-
not around here.
What if you invest 10% in it?
What's
Yeah,
that?
down payment
Invested
10%.
10%.
Oh, you mean like this was 10?
Yeah, like your down
Okay,
payment.
your down payment. Okay. Is it going to be less?
Yeah, but not that much.
Oh, not that much.
The problem is this. In that first month, Talia, like even if you've got $10,000, how much do you owe in that first month? You still owe the bank $90,000 in that first month. So of your $300 payment, how much of that goes towards covering interest?
Nothing.
Like $299. Almost all of your payments to begin with are covering interest, and the amount that you owe slowly goes down. Okay? So
Scroll down to that graph.
you want to try to have as big of a down payment as you can, and you want to try to pay as much as you can afford. Now, not long ago, the housing market was crazy. People were buying like houses that they couldn't afford, like let's say, well, $250,000 with a $10,000 down payment at 3.5%.
Ooh. Oh,
Your payment is over $1,000. Usually at this point, someone in the room says, I'm going to live with my mom and dad the rest of my life.
No.
So you
Scroll down.
You don't want that.
Scroll down that graph. Yeah, scroll down the graph.
So this is how much you owe. This is the interest. This is the equity. Now what is equity? That's what percent of the house you own. So if you sell it, right? Like let's say you bought this, how much was this one? Let's say you bought this $250,000 home, and then after a few years you decide to sell it. And let's say you still owe $200,000, but you sell it for
More than
$300,000. You owe $200,000.
You made 100,000.
You made $100,000.
Huh.
If you
So-
don't get that full.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do, because if you sold it for free and you owe two,
Right.
you're left.
Exactly. There's only one small problem. You gotta live somewhere.
Yeah.
So that
Right?
100,000
You gotta live somewhere. So the 100 goes towards the next one. And that's why, Megan,
You could invest $100,000 in your down.
absolutely.
You know what?
Absolutely. That's why this whole idea of, you see it on the Remax stuff, you see them talk about starter homes. If you start in a small starter home and you pay it all off quickly, right, then you can take that whole house amount and apply it to your next one, right? So you want to start sort of small and work your way up a little bit, okay?
That's what I do.
Yes, you want to start yourself small. Okay, so yeah, do you see here? Now you can also do this. You can also increase your payments. Can I increase my payment here? Yes. So it's not letting me. You can, most banks will let you pay a little bit more than your minimum. If you can drop this 25 years down, if you can set it all up so that it's based on 25 years, like your payment is this amount here, but if you can afford $1,400, you're going to pay it off before that 25 years comes up. Like when you get income tax money back, if you throw it at your house, you're going to have your mortgage paid off sooner. And then guess what you do? What can you do with this $1,200 every month?
Whatever you save, invest.
There you go.
stocks.
There you go.
Invest all in one company.
Yeah. Okay.
No, we're gonna have like.
That's what I'm trying to do.
The last one. Hey, you want to talk about how it's anymore? I got 14 minutes.
Not cards. Go.
Okay.
I want to talk about credit cards.
You want to talk about credit cards?
No.
Let's see if I can squeeze it in. Okay, so cars. When I graduated from I got a student loan, because back then student loans were, I could only get it because I was out an extra year from university. I qualified for a student loan in my 4th year because it was my 5th year out. And back then they called them I don't know, we called them stereo loans because people would buy a stereo with them because that's what people bought back in the 80s. Big speakers and stuff, right? I bought a car with my student loan that was supposed to go towards tuition because it's interest free, you don't have to pay for it. Okay, so then I'm done school, I graduated, I go into the bank because I gotta start making payments on this car, and the guy says, how about $50 a month? And I say, how about you? I didn't use that language, but I wanted to, because I knew the math, because at $50 a month, my $3,000 student loan.
month, that would take you forever.
Exactly! Don't fall for that. Do not fall for that. They try to make you do that because what are banks?
They're making money.
They're in the business of making money. I said to him, I'm paying $500 a month. And he says, are you sure you can afford that? I'm like, yeah.
That's why I went to school.
I was mad. That was really my first, I'm like, who is this guy? What a jerk. Right? I'd still be paying off that 1981 card.
You would.
So I said, I'm paying $500 a month and I'm going to have it paid off in 6 months. And he said, okay. Okay, now, when I was done paying off that 1981 Monte Carlo, guess what I did with that $500 a month?
You sold it. What?
You sold no, the $500 a month.
You put it into your savings or something else.
Did I take that extra 500 and increase my lifestyle and buy more pizza and maybe expensive?
Yes.
No, I kept paying $500 into my own account, and then when it was time to buy my 1993 Mazda MX-3, I had a big sum of money, and I didn't need as much of a student loan. And then when I traded in and paid off the next one, I kept, every month, I keep putting $500 a month towards my next car. And when I need a loan, I don't get a loan from the bank. Where do I get the loan from?
Yourself.
You can get a student loan instead.
The rules were a little bit weirder back then. It's a little bit changed. But that's what I did. Okay, so what I'm saying is that I never get a car loan because I just keep, I don't let my lifestyle go up with that extra money that I have.
Where do you put that extra money when you?
Into a mutual fund or a savings account or like. Maybe wants to talk about credit cards.
Yeah.
On a credit card, there's what's called the minimum payment, and then there's like the total amount that you owe. So if you owe $1,000, the minimum payment will be like $14. I'm exaggerating, but they want you to pay that minimum payment because you know what the interest rates on credit cards are?
High.
Like up to 20%. So if you buy $1,000 worth of stuff, if you don't pay it off, it's going to be $1,200 the next month. You have to pay off your credit card in full every month. Even if there are some months when I can't afford to pay off the entire credit card, I have a line of credit at the bank. The interest rate is not 20%, it's like 6%. So if I have to, I pay off the full amount of the credit card and then I borrow from my line of credit and I pay it 6%, not 20%. Okay? Do not. That just means that you always pay your bills. If you've got bad credit, that means that you aren't making payments on your credit card.
And you have to pay it.
It's that stupid commercial that talks about credit karma and there's a number.
Say that again?
You know, it's
Like
credit
700.
karma.
Credit card what?
Credit
karma.
Credit karma.
Yeah, there's
Well,
always that stupid like number.
I'm not sure.
But what's a good credit?
I don't know what a good. I have no idea what a
Yours
good
shows
score is.
720.
I have no idea because I just know mine's good because I pay off my credit card every single month. I miss a few water bills because they get lost in the mail or whatever. Yeah.
And do you need a credit card as a credit card?
You don't need a credit card, but it's becoming harder and harder. Like it's very hard to book a flight. It's very hard to book a hotel room. A lot of those things require a credit card. It's virtually impossible to live sort of a normal life. Now that I actually read an article about this just recently where a guy tried to live for a whole month with cash. Like it was crazy. Like to get a hotel room, he had to put like $500 of cash down. Because if he damages the room, if you put a credit card down and it's damaged the room, they just charge the credit card. Right? But if they just have $100 for the room in cash, and you bust off the room and then you leave, they get nothing. Okay? So, it's a good idea. There are student credit cards. Be careful with student credit cards. Make sure you know what you get yourself into. But it's a good idea to start building up your credit score, right? You can get a credit card that has a $500 limit. You can buy 2 things. And as long as you keep paying it off, then you start earning credit score. Because if you don't have good credit score, like when you're 22, 23, and you do need a car loan, if you have no credit history, you're not going to get a car loan. Okay? You can get car loans now, but your mom or your dad would have to co-sign the bank, which means that if you don't make payments, they're going to cover you. Okay, so it's a good idea to sort of have some credit score of some kind. I've thrown a lot of information at you, haven't I?
Yeah, my brain's exploding.
Yes.
I don't understand it.
No, I like it.
It makes me realize how little I know.
Yeah,
Why don't they have a class on this?
they should, I know.
On this crap.
Go
There's a
Go
4-H
Central
project called Money Manage.
Yeah,
Yeah, but what?
Yeah, you force each other.
they should. I absolutely, and again, I didn't start learning this stuff until I was about 24, 25, and then when I started teaching applied math, then it really started to make sense. So, you guys, I'm jealous because I'm almost 50, and you can start your investment savings at 18.
I think I'm just gonna do the savings.
Usually I'm going like right to that. I did pretty good today.
It's so boring.
You guys are pretty, I've never had a class on no one list. They're usually just like, that's just the house part. I'm glad you house part.
That's
It's amazing, yes. It's just, it's shocking how much, yeah. Oh, have I got one more thing? Oh, yeah. You can have all the money in the world, you might be unhappy, right? So it's a balance, folks. Don't stay up all night worrying about your stocks. I used to.
Just staring at the sun.